You have a vision. You can picture exactly where you want to be. The version of your life you want feels vivid, almost within reach. But the moment it's time to actually do something about it, something stops you. You hesitate. You put it off. You tell yourself things will be different when the time is right. And the time never feels right. You're not alone in this. There's an entire category of people living this exact experience. People with real ability and genuine ambition who somehow can't convert that into forward motion. And what makes it worse is that you're aware of it. You know what you're capable of. That awareness doesn't help. If anything, it makes the stagnation more painful. This isn't a character flaw. What's happening is psychological. It's about patterns, neural grooves worn deep through repetition. And the significant thing about patterns is that they aren't permanent. They were learned. That means they can be unlearned. But that process starts with understanding what's actually driving the behavior. So let's look at what a typical day probably looks like for you. You open your eyes with a sense of resolve. Today you're going to start on the project, on the goal, on whatever it is you keep pushing back. And then you pick up your phone for just a moment. One scroll leads to another. 45 minutes disappear. You tell yourself the morning is basically gone away. You'll get serious after lunch. Lunch passes. The afternoon energy never really shows up. You push the start time to tomorrow, when you'll be more prepared, more rested, more ready. That night, lying in bed, the familiar weight settles in. Regret. Frustration. Another day gone. You make mental promises. Tomorrow will be the turning point. But when morning comes, the spark is cold, and the whole sequence starts again. This has been the pattern for months, maybe years. And some quiet part of you is beginning to wonder whether it will ever actually stop. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. You're caught between two competing forces. One part of you is pulled toward the future you want. The goals, the growth, the life that feels meaningful. Another part of you is wired to resist anything that feels risky or hard or uncertain. And right now, the second part is running the show. Not because you're weak, because you're human. When your brain registers the thought of doing difficult, uncertain work, it reads that as a threat. So it offers an exit. Something easy, something immediately rewarding. A small pulse of dopamine arrives. The uncomfortable feeling eases. Your brain files this response as effective, and the next time discomfort shows up, it suggests the same solution. This isn't laziness. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that what protects you in the short term is quietly dismantling you over the long term. Every day you choose the easiest path. You're deepening the habit of avoidance. Every time you step back from something hard, you're teaching your brain a story about who you are. The cycle feeds itself, and the longer it runs, the more deeply it gets embedded. Motivation doesn't work the way you think it does. Motivation is a mood. It fluctuates constantly, and it cannot carry the weight of a life's ambitions. What actually moves people forward is structure. Systems. A consistent practice that doesn't depend on whether or not you feel like it on a given morning. Discipline isn't an innate trait. It's a skill built through repetition, one small choice at a time. There's something else worth naming: perfectionism. You have such a clear picture of what success should look like that anything imperfect feels like defeat before it begins. So you keep waiting for the right plan, the right conditions, the right moment. But the right moment is a mirage. Perfectionism presents itself as high standards. But underneath, it's fear wearing a respectable disguise. Fear that if you put your full effort into something and it doesn't work, you'll be left with a conclusion you'd rather not face. The fantasy is safe. Inside it, you can still be the person who would have succeeded. But that belief is borrowed, and some part of you already knows it. Here's what the fear is costing you. Failure isn't the real enemy of success. Inaction is. When you fail, you come away with something: information, experience, a revised understanding of what to do differently. When you avoid action entirely, you come away with nothing. Imperfect action compounds. Waiting doesn't. So how do you actually shift out of this pattern? It starts with accepting something uncomfortable. You're not going to feel ready. Most days, motivation won't be there, and you're going to have to act anyway. Because every time you take action in the face of resistance, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are proving to your nervous system that discomfort isn't dangerous. Start with something small. Pick one thing, something modest, that moves you one step closer to where you want to go. 15 minutes of focused work. A single email sent. One page written. The size doesn't matter. The act of following through matters. Do it today, and again tomorrow, and again the day after that. You're not optimizing for brilliance right now. You're optimizing for showing up. Discipline is uncomfortable in the beginning. Your brain will push back hard. It will tell you that you're tired, that you've earned a rest, that you can always begin again tomorrow. You will need to act anyway. But here's what changes after a few rounds of that. It gets less hard. The noise quiets. The resistance shrinks. Your environment also matters far more than most people acknowledge. The phone on your desk isn't neutral. The cluttered workspace isn't neutral. People who get things done have built their environment so that focus is the default, not the exception. Phone in another room. Notifications off. Workspace clear. A consistent daily window for focused effort. Protected, non-negotiable routine. And this needs to be said plainly. Consuming content about being productive is not the same as being productive. You don't need more frameworks or more inspiration. You have enough information. What you need is to close the browser and do one concrete thing. You also need to accept that whatever you produce first will probably not be very good. That's not a problem, it's an inevitability. The goal right now isn't quality. The goal is habit. Excellence follows consistency. It doesn't precede it. When you start taking action, resistance will show up. There will be days you fall back into old patterns. That's not failure. That's part of the process. The difference between people who change and people who don't isn't that the former never slip. It's that they don't let one bad day become a reason to abandon everything. They notice, they reset, they continue. Let go of the guilt about lost time. Guilt doesn't generate momentum. It drains it. Treat yourself the way you treat someone you care about who is struggling. You fell short today? Fine. Do something small right now, even if the day is mostly gone. Forgiveness isn't softness. It's the one thing that makes sustained effort possible. Here's the most important thing to hold on to. Laziness isn't who you are. Avoidance is what you've been doing. Those aren't the same. One is identity, one is behavior. Behavior changes. Who you are, someone with actual potential and real drive, that hasn't gone anywhere. Ambition that never meets action is just a story you tell yourself. You need the willingness to act despite the discomfort, and the grace to forgive yourself when it's messy or slower than you wanted. Stop gathering information about living differently and start actually living differently. Stop holding out for a feeling of readiness and build the discipline that doesn't require it. Take one real step today. Not a perfect step, a real one. That step tells your brain something new about who you are. The step after that reinforces it. You have always known what you're capable of. The only thing left is to prove it, not to anyone else, but to yourself. Not someday. Starting now.